The night my boss and I got stranded in a small-town motel was the night I learned that kindness can come from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes people aren't who you think they are. I still remember the way the motel manager looked at us, shaking her head apologetically. "Only one room left," she said. My boss turned to me with a half-smile and said, "We're both adults, right?" My heart sank. I swallowed hard, nodded, and whispered, "I won't tell anyone but what happened next." Changed everything before the first begin. If you love emotional, heartfelt stories that touch the soul, make sure you subscribe to the Soulful Stories, give this video a like, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us bring more meaningful stories to you. When I took the job as an assistant at a mid-sized marketing company, I didn't expect anything exciting. My life was simple: go to work, pay bills, help mom, try not to drown in responsibilities. But then there was my boss, Daniel Carter. Daniel was the kind of man everyone admired: confident, sharp-minded, always pressed shirts and polished shoes. But he was also distant. Rumor was he didn't mix business with personal life. Ever. So when he asked me to accompany him to a client meeting 3 hours out of town, I agreed without a second thought. I needed the overtime pay. Mom's medical bills were piling up again. The meeting went longer than expected. By the time we drove back, the rain turned into a storm so strong it felt like the sky was ripping open. Daniel gripped the steering wheel and frowned. "We should stop somewhere safe," he said. I nodded. The roads were flooded, visibility zero. We were in the middle of nowhere when we saw a small neon sign blinking, Pinewoods Motel. The place looked old, almost abandoned, but it was the only spot for miles. When we stepped inside, the manager apologized immediately. "No power in half the rooms," she said, "and only one room left." Daniel turned to me, eyebrows raised. "We're both adults, right?" I forced a smile even as my stomach twisted. I needed this job. I couldn't afford to offend him or make things awkward. "I won't tell anyone," I whispered. But Daniel's expression shifted instantly. The playful eyebrow dropped, replaced by confusion. No, I didn't mean it like that," he said quickly. "I meant, we'll manage. I'll take the floor or the chair. You can have the bed." I blinked, surprised. "You don't have to." "No," he said firmly. "You're tired. You've worked hard today." That was the first crack in the image I had of him, the untouchable boss who cared about nothing but deadlines. Inside the room, the power flickered, but stayed on. Daniel placed his jacket over the chair and sat down with a sigh. I left the bed untouched, feeling guilty. He looked uncomfortable enough. "You can take the bed," I said softly. He shook his head. "You need rest. I'm fine." For a moment there was silence except for the rain hammering against the window, and then something unexpected. "Is your mom doing better?" he asked. My heart stopped. How did you know?" Daniel gave a small smile. "You've taken several emergency calls, stepped out crying twice, and you've been working extra hours like your life depends on it." I put things together. I bit my lip, embarrassed and relieved at the same time. "She has heart problems," I admitted. "Treatment is expensive." "I'm trying my best." Daniel nodded slowly. His expression softened in a way I had never seen. "You're doing more than most people would," he said. I looked down at my hands. "Sometimes I feel like it's never enough." He leaned forward slightly. "Kindness to others starts with kindness to yourself," he said. "You're carrying a lot. Don't forget that." The words hit me harder than expected. I blinked back tears. We stayed quiet for a long moment until the lights flickered again. The storm outside was getting worse, and suddenly the room went dark. The only light came from Daniel's phone as he turned the flashlight on. "Looks like it's going to be a long night," he said. But he wasn't annoyed. He wasn't frustrated. He was calm, even gentle. He dragged the chair closer to the window to check the weather, then returned and sat cross-legged on the floor with me. "You know," he began, "I wasn't always like this." "Like what?" "Closed off, strict. People think I'm cold, but it's just life happened." He told me about losing his wife 5 years ago to a sudden illness. "She was my anchor," he said quietly. "After she died, I just shut down. It felt safer to keep distance. I felt my throat tighten." "I'm sorry," I whispered. He nodded, eyes distant. I guess I forgot how to show kindness, or maybe I was afraid to. Hearing that, from him, made me see him completely differently. He wasn't cold, he was hurting. And suddenly the room didn't feel awkward anymore. It felt human. The storm raged on through the night. The power returned in short bursts, enough to warm the room for a while before fading again. We talked about life, loss, dreams, regrets. Things you don't usually discuss with your boss. At one point I shivered, and Daniel immediately grabbed his jacket and placed it over my shoulders. "You'll get sick," he said. "What about you?" "I'm fine. I don't break easily," he joked. And for the first time since I'd known him, I laughed. Around 3 a.m. I woke up and saw Daniel still sitting upright, dozing lightly in the chair. The jacket was slipping off me, and I gently draped it over him instead. He blinked awake, surprised. "You didn't have to." "You looked uncomfortable," I said. He smiled, grateful. "Thank you." Morning finally came, and the storm calmed. When we checked out, Daniel insisted on thanking the motel manager personally and even tipped her generously. She stared, shocked. "Most people complain about our old rooms," she said. To my surprise, he replied, "You gave us shelter in a storm, that matters." On the drive back, something felt different, lighter, like a wall between us had quietly fallen overnight. Halfway back to the city, Daniel revealed something unexpected. "I've been reviewing your work," he said. My heart raced. "Was this about the job?" "You're talented," he continued, "and you deserve better pay." I stared at him. "What?" "I'm promoting you," he said, "starting next week." Tears instantly filled my eyes. "But why?" He shrugged, smiling. "Because you earned it. And because kindness should go both ways." I looked out the window to hide my tears. That promotion changed everything. It allowed me to pay off Mom's medical bills and give her better care. But it wasn't just the promotion. It was the moment I realized that kindness isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a room shared respectfully. A jacket placed over cold shoulders. A boss finally opening up about his pain. A night of unexpected honesty in a storm-soaked motel. And my biggest realization? People are often carrying stories we know nothing about. Sometimes the strongest ones are the ones silently hurting. And sometimes being kind, even when it feels small, can change a life. That night in the old Pinewoods Motel taught me something I'll never forget. Kindness creates bridges where walls once stood. It softens hearts, heals wounds, and reminds us that we're all human, fragile, trying, hoping, surviving. Daniel and I returned to work not as strangers separated by hierarchy, but as people who finally understood each other. And in the end, a storm, a single room, and a few honest conversations showed me that kindness has the power to rewrite stories, even mine. So as you go forward today, be kind. You never know whose storm you might be helping someone through.